to all the fellow night owls. Welcome back to the Midnight Memo. And I know if you're listening to this, it's because you should be sleeping, but it's okay.
And you chose not to. You chose violence. Or you've been forced upon violence. I don't want to assume that it was your choice, because it's definitely not my choice to be up right now.
Well, this is my co-host, Kristen.
And that's my co-host, Claire.
And we are just doing our best. Before we start, just wanted a little disclaimer. Kristen and I are going to be criticizing some aspects of the American school system. These are our own opinions based on our own experiences. We also acknowledge our privilege of having had access to great schooling systems, and we don't take this for granted. With that being said, we hope that you enjoy these takes from two girls who have had no formal education training. This episode is going to be a little more on the serious side.
Sirius Black.
Who's that?
Oh my god, Claire! From Harry Potter, the Prisoner of Azkaban, Claire Norman.
I knew that. I was just testing you.
God. I'm gonna expose Claire right now. Claire had not watched any of the Harry Potter films until college.
That's true.
It was really heartbreaking for me. It was truly a test of our friendship and our roommateship. We binged it,
I don't know. It was so quick to the point where I literally had to rewatch the third one 3 times because I couldn't.
You couldn't comprehend what was happening. We binged through them because I was like, I cannot continue living with you if you do not watch this movie.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I need to have more movie nights. Maybe that will...
We did pretty good with movie nights in college, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had this same realization in college that we were uncultured.
We were both uncultured, so it was great.
I will say, I think you were a little worse than me, but I wasn't great. I was a low bar.
You said, the bar is on the floor, and I said, let me grab a shovel real quick. Anyway, my mind has been all over the place this week. I don't know about you. I think that it's fair to say that neither of us have slept the proper amount we should have this week. I'm such a night owl that I literally don't even hit my stride until 6 p.m.
No, me too. Oh my God. I'm the same way. And realistically, my brain functioning at full capacity does not happen until 6 p.m.
I think I need to get more into a routine. Mm-hmm. Maybe that will help. Last time I had a really good schedule and routine was in high school because, we had to go to school from 7:30 to 2:30. Then afterwards you would have work and after school activities and all that stuff.
Random thought. Did your school actually start at 7:30 or is that just when you got there?
No, it started at 7:30.
Ew. Oh, I feel so bad for you. Mine started at either 8 or 8:10, something like that, 8 at the earliest. And I thought that was ungodly early.
It is ungodly early.
But you were...
High schoolers shouldn't have to start school until 9:30, in my humble opinion.
I mean, and there's science that's backed this up. There's science that's backed up, adolescent brains don't really kick into function until at least 9. So it's really doing an injustice to their education and whoever is teaching that 8 a.m. on class.
Right? If I had the power to, I would change this. Okay, hear me out. High school should start later. Younger grades should start earlier.
In the day. Or you mean in their lifetime?
Earlier in the day. So
got you.
Instead of having high schoolers start at 7:30, they should start, I think, at least around 9 a.m. And then preschoolers maybe start 8 a.m. because a lot of their learning, from my point of view, seems to be socialization at that age, you know?
Right. Totally.
And high schoolers, they have so much more on their plate. So school, then homework, then jobs, after school clubs, sports,
extracurriculars. Yeah,
so they have so much more to do, so giving them a little more time in the morning I don't think would be a crime. Not a hot take, I don't think, but who knows. Is there something you would change about the school system
besides starting later?
LOL, yes, besides starting later. Oh, here's one. Another change I would make is pay teachers so much more. And not even college professors, because from what I know, if you have tenure, you're getting paid really well. However, you go down from that high school, elementary school, all those teachers, they don't get paid enough.
Yeah.
They should be getting paid more, especially because
totally
they're there for our formative years.
Yeah. It's crazy how underpaid they are, and especially for how much effort, especially looking at, not to undermine the different grades, each year has their own types of struggles, right? But what I can think of more prominently is in elementary school and the effort that the teachers do, in addition to having the class and doing all those things and doing the socialization, they also do these fun activities, right? And you can't prep for those fun activities during those school hours. So often teachers take their work home. all teachers, like across all the grades, like middle school, high school, they have to go home, grade papers, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They all have to take their work home. So it's like your job doesn't really stop. You take your work home all the time.
Yeah. And on top of that, as you said, like those little projects and stuff, a lot of the times they'll pay for those activities or the supplies for those activities outside of whatever funding they're getting from the school. So it's like out of their personal pocket, this is what they're doing for your kids. So I feel like they should get it reimbursed in some way, right?
Yeah, I don't understand why they don't get at least reimbursed. But I also understand why they don't, because there's like no money in the school system. So I understand that. Not that it's right.
Yeah. Oh, there was a time in high school where for some reason there was an event happening and they had bubble machines on campus to make it look like it was fake snowing.
Your school was so wild, bro.
Looking back, it feels like the Twilight Zone a little bit. We don't have funding for textbooks. No.
We don't have funding for the mental health program, but bubble machines.
Yes. Again, a different topic, but something that should change. Mental health awareness.
Absolutely.
In all levels of school, even starting from maybe middle school.
Yeah.
Middle school all the way up, having more resources for mental health. That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, resources. And I mean, I know you can't diagnose every kid, right? So I don't know what the correct solution would be, but like some form of awareness.
Yeah, definitely. If we were to maybe embed that health course that you have to take that are usually in school systems, right? Overall health. It's not just learning about the human body, it's also learning how to handle different situations. There are a lot of people who are saying now, oh, I have anxiety, I have depression, I have all of these different things. And then, I mean, me included, they're afraid to talk about it because they don't think it's normal, but everyone is going through it.
Or I think you don't know it. And especially in middle school, I feel like that's where you're facing the most changes.
Puberty.
Puberty. Ugh, gross.
Everyone's favorite memory.
Disgusting. So yeah, why not arm kids with knowledge? Like, if you're gonna go through it, you might as well know what the fuck you're going through. Like, I don't need a week and a half of education that I'm gonna grow hair in weird places. Like, that can be a one-time statement and we move on. Say that and move on. There's more important things you can learn about. Kind of screen and know what to look out for and what to expect and what is not normal to expect.
Yeah, and different ways. So like, say you start feeling depressed, right? Knowing that it's completely normal. A lot of people go through it. You're not alone. Here are some resources for you, and here are some ways to cope with it. You could go to therapy. I know some people are against taking prescription medications, but there's meditation, there are support groups,
and knowing your options, like you just said, knowing that if you don't want to take medication, that's not the only way. There's also other ways to do it, because they might not know that they have other options.
That should be implemented in all school systems, especially because school in general gives you stress,
It's so learning how to cope with stress from the cause, school.
Literally. And in a similar vein, I think there should be more coverage on sex ed. Controversial topic, hot takes coming at you right now. I believe it deserves a bigger focus because this topic ends up being such a dominant subject of your adult life. Whether you decide to participate or not, you're surrounded by it in just the American culture. So, in my opinion, needs to be expanded upon in school systems, even starting from middle school.
I think especially starting in middle school.
Exactly. Because up until high school, right? At least from my school district, the only exposure we had to sex ed was seeing a woman give birth.
Oh God, that's abrasive.
Right? Horrible.
Why was that the best way?
They're trying to traumatize you.
It's like that Mean Girls thing. Don't have sex or it will kill you and you will die. Like, that's literally a real life application of how they decided to do that with you.
Literally. It was a weird workaround that they did. Some mental gymnastics are like, this will be a good way to deter them.
I don't understand.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we watched that video and then we watched our science teacher put a condom on a banana. But that was it.
Like, that's the only form of contraception too. Like,
yeah. That was all we learned about. So yeah, like we didn't even learn about birth control pills. Like I had to do my research separately and I started it because I had horrible acne.
Yeah.
And there's like that stigma around birth control, like, oh, it's only for
I was just about to say that
kids.
stigma.
Yeah.
I hate that stigma. Your acne's terrible in high school. So if you have to take birth control come high school, like, you don't want to have that stigma around. They like, oh, you're taking birth control. Da, 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 da. It's like, no, sir. I don't want my face one big red pimple. Like, that's
literally.
My face looked like a mogul run. Like, we don't need to go through this.
Oh my God. Okay, here's the thing. Even if you don't plan on partaking in sexual activities, knowing more going into it is better than knowing nothing at all. I feel like knowing nothing at all could be more dangerous in the long run, because you could do your own research, right? But if you don't know what you don't know, you might stumble upon something that's not safe and you would try it and you could get hurt. So I think having more resources or a safe space to go ask someone about, hey, I just want to know more about this topic. Like, I get that some people don't want to have this conversation with their parents, which is totally fine. I totally understand that.
It's not a comfy conversation for anyone, right?
Yeah.
So to have a safe space with a trusted adult that you can talk about this, that's not your parents.
Yeah, and I know, again, like, there are some families who are completely against this idea in general, even having sex ed in class. And I totally get it. I respect it. But here's my opinion, all right? I'm going the exact opposite. Getting across the red tape for high schools, this could maybe even being like an after school program or an after school class or something, so that the schools don't get in trouble for providing it. But the kids who, honestly, it's really up to them if they wanted to participate or not. Because if your kid wants to know, they're going to find out no matter what, whether it be through safe routes or not. If they don't want to know, then they don't have to go, you know? But having that open option for them, I think is the best way to handle it.
Yeah, definitely.
And going off of that, being able to nowadays, because we've progressed so far since we've been in elementary school, high school, right? There are so many more types of relationships that they should cover, from gay, lesbian, trans. Like, you should, or maybe in the after school program, be able to kind of educate kids on that, because they don't know anything. In the health class, it's always straight relationships.
Yeah.
If you're on the spectrum somewhere, you're on the spectrum. And not being exposed to any of information for what your specific situation is, you're kind of lost. And I don't think that's necessarily fair for you.
Absolutely. It's so emotional and just dramatic being in high school in general. Like, why do we need to add more to it? Why can't we just clarify and try to simplify that whole awkward stage?
Honestly, like, I don't know what the health classes are like now. Maybe they are covering more of this stuff, but
I hope so. I really do. You know what I'd want to change too? This is totally a left tangent.
Yeah.
Gifted and talented programs.
Oh, interesting. Expand.
I feel like you get shoved into the gifted and talented program, and then you are put kind of like on this pedestal of like, you are quote quote success of how you're supposed to excel academically. And then a lot of students either turn into overthinkers or, you know, analysis paralysis, and they only equate success with academics. And I've seen like unhealthy relationships burst out of that.
Yeah, there is a lot of pressure put onto these basically adolescent teenagers.
You're a child.
And yeah, you can definitely in those gifted programs get tunnel vision on, this is the only thing I'm meant to do, this is how I'm going to succeed.
And I feel like they try to, at least at my school, I definitely felt like there was a like, you're better than other people if you're in the gifted and talented program. And I feel like that put an unhealthy relationship between
the competition.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, oh, you're not in gifted talented, you're a dumbass. And it's like, no, you're just a normal kid.
Yeah, you're
like,
you're
gifted
fine.
and talented. Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't be the standard. It was the exception.
Yeah,
like, you were doing exceptionally well. Okay, great. Yes, let's celebrate that. But let's not. I feel like it was treated almost inversely. Of it's like, oh, you're not in the gifted and talented. You're a dumb fuck. Like, and you're not. You're just a normal. You're normal.
So how would you change the honor system or like gifted program? Would you just get rid of it?
I don't think, because I don't know if I'd want to get rid of it. So I understand the need for gifted programs for, if a student is excelling, and especially for, I feel like, standardizing, right? Like, I understand that struggle for teachers to try to teach everyone in your class the same concept, and people are at different levels of understanding it. And it's really hard to keep the people who are excelling engaged and not doing a high level explanation for the people who really need that in-depth, like, I don't understand anything. But I think that's a problem in general with school system teaching rather than just like specifically gifted and talented programs.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
That is a good point, because there are people who are part of, say, the gifted program, but there are also people who have learning disabilities that prevent them from, I guess, kind of put them under quote unquote average, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So being able to separate those kids out while still allowing them to grow socially with their peers.
Yeah.
That's a hard balance, because I feel like if you got rid of the gifted program, right, then, or if you kept the gifted program though, then I feel like those kids would only hang out with each other.
For sure.
Which then goes back into the social thing of like, oh, they'll grow up to be overthinkers, like they're not. But again, their comparison is only that small group of quote unquote gifted students. I don't know. I feel like that's a complicated one.
I think that's just that's towing the lines of just like social complexities at that point too. Talking about socialization and almost confirmation bias if you're always surrounded by like people who look and think exactly like you. So that's tough.
Oh no. Now I'm on a roll. I have so many things I would change about the school system. The schedule, pay for teachers. Oh, changing tenure, because I don't know why it's so hard to fire someone who has tenure.
Oh my God, yeah.
So for some background, we had a professor at our college who was not great, to say the least. And
it got worse with our time there. Like, I feel like freshman year definitely saw the holes having this person as a professor. Yeah,
it progressively got worse and worse. And we even expressed our discontent with a lot of the other professors, even the chair of our computer science college, or what is it? Computer science practice? Department. Yes.
I was like, practice.
I was like, I'm in work mode. I'm like, I'm in the CX practice.
Hard left out of that.
Yeah, they were just not great at all. And
they told us their hands are tied. Like, we were just like, what can be done like to correct some of this behavior?
Yeah, truly. Because a bunch of students started complaining about this one professor. And then because we had kind of roped in some of our other professors, they started complaining about this one professor as well.
They had their own complaints too. I remember one professor specifically, we were outside their office hours with a couple of those students, and we were kind of just talking amongst ourselves, and the professor we were getting office hours from overheard it, and they were like, oh my God, wait, what? They said that. So like, it's not like we were trying to like tell on this the very bad. Well, yeah, Claire really wanted to. And this just like cut the middleman out where she didn't have to anymore.
Get someone else to do my dirty work.
Exactly. And they were like, that's not fucking okay. And so that professor sought out other professors who, for the benefit of our case, also had very terrible and negative experiences with this professor.
Yeah. And on top of this, I could totally be wrong, but I believe that as part of your tenure, you're supposed to be evaluated annually on specific research that has something to do with your field. And this professor didn't do it. So at this point, I feel like if you're getting complaints from students, fellow faculty, and the chair of the department knows of these issues, you should lose your tenure. But
for some reason,
this professor still has his tenure, and it's really frustrating. Like, I don't understand why. I mean, there's probably a lot of other politics involved that we don't have insight on.
For sure.
But I don't think that it should be that complicated to either say, like, propose an ultimatum, say, hey, get your shit together, or otherwise we're pulling your tenure.
Yeah.
Like, give them a warning.
Yeah, if they're literally failing on job description marks, I feel like that itself should veto, or at least put into question, the stability of your tenure.
Yeah.
Let alone having peers and your students complain about you.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, okay. I remembered my thought.
I'm so proud of you.
Finance 101.
Ugh.
Finance.
Learn how to do your fucking taxes.
Yeah. Being able to understand taxes, being able to understand investing, being able to understand budgeting, and
budgets for sure.
Yeah, like insurance, how to handle that. Like, there are so many.
Ooh, I need to revamp my insurance.
Yeah. I feel like all that finance information is either reserved for powerful people or the people who are going into finance. Like, it was never a requirement, even like for our core requirements.
Yeah.
They made us do like philosophy and religion, but they didn't have a finance 101.
Fuck if you can't do your taxes, but let's be able to quote Socrates or some bullshit.
IRS, how much do I owe this year? Oh, we know, but we won't tell you. You have to figure that out yourself. Okay.
Guess a number.
Yeah. What happens if I'm wrong? Oh, jail. that information should be accessible to everyone.
Definitely. Like, we did not choose to exist, right? But we are born, we are thrown into this system, and it's already there in place. Shouldn't you be taught and learn how to exist in that system?
And it's a huge part of how you're supposed to be quote unquote successful. I want to be able to,
I just don't want the IRS to come for me. I just want to know how to do my taxes. So
we just need to learn the basics.
Yeah.
It's a small ask that has like astronomical effects. Anyway, I feel like I've gone through all the things that I would want to change off the top of my head about the education
These are all
system.
Tip of the iceberg, ladies and gents. You had strong feelings on this, and I appreciate that. I fuck with that.
Sorry, I feel like I kind of took over this episode, but I just think that the education system is such a vital part of our lives and forming us as human beings. It's kind of their responsibility to form us into people who can succeed in society. And again, we are not experts at this by any means. I know that there are many people who could educate us on the education system. So if you have any other insight into any of these issues, let us know. But overall, I think we need to learn how to thrive, not just survive, I think.
Ooh, that's a snippet. I love that. Wow, that's resounding for me. I need a moment. And right at midnight, thank you so much for joining us on the Midnight Memo and taking this hot mess of a roller coaster with us. If you liked our podcast, please like, subscribe, and follow us on this journey at Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you stream your regular podcasts. Also, feel free to DM us via Instagram or TikTok at the Midnight Memo. And like Claire said, educate us on the education system. And feel free to also email us inquiries at themidnightmemo@gmail.com.
If you would like to support our podcast in any way, make sure to click that link that's in our podcast description to show your support. And don't forget to tune in next Tuesday for our next episode. Bye.